It's been just 73 days since Connor Barry left the big house as the first iRacing Off-Road Championship winner. But now the field returns to Crandon and gets set to go for the second annual iRacing Crandon Pro 4 Championship. Hello everyone and welcome back to RaceSpotTV and welcome back to the Jumpy Trucks as we get set to go racing here once more at Crandon. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, riding by myself tonight. The other half of the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series is away and Joshua Lee is very much missed, but he is very much going to be the one missing what is bound to be an electric evening of entertainment. Don't forget you can follow along with live timing and scoring by heading to RaceSpot.tv/timing to follow your favorite team and drivers across the course of tonight's double part event. It's going to be exciting and it's built up over the course of the week. Drivers have had their chance to qualify for this race and now it's about the super session. We take the top 20 in points and we let them loose for one final time here today. It is going to be tense, it is going to be exciting, and we're delighted to have you back on RaceSpot TV. This is the iRacing special events where we journey from the high banks of Daytona down under to the Mount Panorama circuit, not once but twice, and sometimes we even go jumpy truck racing. We even go indoors to the Tulsa Expo Center. We do a little bit of everything, and that is what we will continue to do over the course of 2022. It's winding down this weekend, a doubleheader with the SCCA runoffs coming to a close with a mammoth broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network. And tonight we finish up the Crandon Championship, technically on October 23rd, but for those in the US, it is October 22nd. After this, the NASCAR iRacing Series finishes its season up with a full-length race into the night lights at Phoenix. After that, though, the final of the VCO Grand Slams as we head back to Suzuka, another race returning for a second year in these iRacing special events. And then, of course, the Winter Derby, the Super Late Models get a breakout, and the Chili Bowl in the third week of December has become a staple here on RaceSpot TV, at least for myself. I look forward to it every single time it rolls around. If you're new to these cars and you're new to Crandon, we'll talk more about that in a second, but we'll have a quick talk about the format. We mentioned super sessions, but what does it mean once we've got the top 20 drivers? We let them loose in qualifying, 7 minutes on the clock, 3 laps for the drivers, and then we set the grid for the land rush start on the heat. That is just 6 laps. And then once we set the grid for the feature, drivers get 3 minutes before we go racing for 10 final laps to crown the 2022 iRacing Crandon Pro 4 champion. We're driving a beast. There's no two ways around it. 900 horsepower. Yes, it's 4,000 pounds, and it is slow and sometimes unwieldy in the weight transfer, but it is quick. 3.1 seconds from 0 to 60 miles an hour. But we head to one of the first tracks on iRacing for short course racing. Very difficult to talk about Crandon without really talking about the start. You see where turn 4 is at the very top of your screen. Just off to the left side of that is where we start, 10 wide, multiple rows deep, and then we funnel into turn 5. We have to finish half a lap before we officially start lap number 1. But there's plenty of jumps where you have to set your car up for the landing while in midair. It's all about technique. And then about brute force to get moves done. You can get physical, you can get brutal, and Calamity Corner, the final corner, has earned its nickname over the years. So qualifying begins, and again, like we said, we throw 7 minutes onto the clock. We give drivers 3 laps to try and go fast, with lap times around 77 seconds here today. We watch the young Jacob Raffoss in his new stealth black Team General tire car. I do like this, I must say. He currently leads the provisional qualifying standings with a 1:17.185. Aidan Beerline, a World of Outlaws iRacing driver, is in second, while the champ Connor Barry runs in third with his title rival Keaton Swain right behind him. It is not a shock to see those two locked in battle once more. We're going to ride around for a lap with young Jacob Raffoss in a couple of moments' time, but we'll enjoy just talking about this, turn 5. This is where the cars will have their first official corner of the race, and then it's over a couple of jumps, a small one and a bigger one, where you've already set up through the left-hander before you get airborne. So it's going to be important, it is going to be crucial. Top 10 split by just under a second right now. Behind them, some of the non-championship drivers, showing just how close the field truly was at the very tippy top of it. So on board with Jacob Rafos, not just with his Pro 4 truck, but with him as well, as I think he's just decided qualifying's good enough. He's not really going to go too much faster. Except here we go. So a ride around, across the start-finish line, and already taking a couple of jumps. Look at the focus as you slide up in towards turn number 2. Trying to really just maximize the corner as you work through. Now, turn 3 so important because it leads down this back straightaway and into what is going to be a defensive passing opportunity at turn 4. Jacob Rafos, I think, has already called it quits in qualifying. 2/10 clear of the field right now. We'll see how it holds up. Here is the champ, though, and let's ride with Connor Barry for a couple of moments' time. A 1:17.417, Barry's best so far, and this will end as qualifying, so there's some importance to do a good one. It's a 1:17.4, about 200ths of an improvement. Will not find himself getting to the front row of the grid. Handful of cars still going on their third and final attempt. Crystal King, the first iRacing female World Championship competitor, up inside of the front 3. Hard to talk about rows, of course, because of what we're going to see with this race here today, but it is going to be electric. It is going to be exciting. Looks like Leroy Mercer and Kyle Urbanik going to not set qualifying times, but it's irrelevant in the grand scope of things because of how the grid will play out here. It is going to be exciting. Let's talk a little bit about what you missed in the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series if you were hiding under a rock in 2022. Connor Barry and Keaton Swain put a show on. Yes, they only had 2 wins apiece in the 16 rounds, but Barry with 14 top 5s, Keaton Swain with 11, but Swain inside of the top 10 in every single one of the races that we had. A remarkable streak, and one that unfortunately just was not good enough for a championship, because in that final showdown it was Barry that was good enough to take it home. It was also important for him, average qualifying for position of about 3rd for Connor Barry, about 5th for Keaton Swain. But just like that, qualifying draws to a close here for the iRacing Crandon Pro 4 Championship Series. We are ready to go, so let's run you down through the starting grid for the first of 2 races. We get ready to go for 6 laps in the heat that defines the grid for the race later on tonight. It will be Jacob Rafos that punches his way to the front of the grid, and that shouldn't be a surprise because he did have a strong run in qualifying on a number of occasions. 1:17.185, Keaton Swain able to grab 2nd in the closing stages. Aidan Beerline, Connor Barry 3rd and 4th, with Nicholas Dachelet and Crystal King making it 5 of the Championship Series drivers in the top 6. Then Tyson Miller and Tom Grady, 7th and 8th, with Josh Clogg and Terry Miller rounding out the top 10. Then Ryan Mayer, Keith Horner 11th and 12th. The first cars inside of row 2, Tommy King, Jaron Boucher, Nathan Ramsey and Tim Hendry 13th through 16th. Then we find Dougie Higgins Jr. and Jason Bauer, who will line up in 17th and 18th. The final cars with lap times on the board, Kyle Urbanik and Leroy Mercer. And the 18 and the 20 will line up at the very tail end of the grid. There is no more beautiful sight in motorsports than the expectation of the land rush start. The engines will build, we'll get ready to go racing, and you know it will be electric. So much chaos on this start, but don't forget, if you find yourself in trouble, you'll get the second opportunity to go again. It's all just about setting the grid for the main event for 10 laps later on tonight. So 10 wide, 2 rows deep. We get ready for Tim Hendry to join the 19 cars ready to go as we get set to send. 18,000 horsepower at the big house. It is the 2nd iRacing Crandon Pro 4 Championship. We're ready to go racing for the land rush start and let the chaos erupt. One car is having none of it. Jason Bauer pulls aside, already going up and over. We've got a car flipping, but into turn 1, Jacob Rafos leads from Keaton Swain. Connor Barry and Aidan Beerline fighting side by side for 3rd. It's Barry that has the inside as they work into the 2nd part of the starting phase, but here comes Beerline ready to tango, and familiar with contact, it's fair to say, after his World of Outlaws exploits, but it's a nice tidy start up at the very front. Leroy Mercer, the car that went up and over. We get a view of the cars funneling through the very tricky penultimate corner that leads into Calamity Corner, and then we get set to start the first of the racing laps here at Crandon. It's a bit of a stack up and there's a bit of a pile up through the final corner, and Calamity has struck. I think Keith Horner goes up and over, but it's Jacob Rafoss that leads the breakaway. Swain, Barry, Beerline and Miller checked up behind. Remember, just a 6-lap race here. It will fly on past. And these drivers will have to make sure they stay out of harm's way. Tommy King, I believe had to take the toe to pit lane. Here comes Keaton Swain to the inside. Through turn 4, they fight on the run to turn 5. Connor Barry's got a great view of the action. And Keaton Swain will be hung out to dry for the time being. Top 6 split by under 2 seconds, and then a bit of separation. Swain to the inside. Through turn 6, he gets it done. Rafoss will try and fight it back, but his teammate Connor Barry will join the party as well. It's a 4-car fight with anyone in the mix. Miller Clog content to ride for the time being. Rafoss with a great run up out of turn 6. We ride on board, or we rather still look at that battle for the race lead as they come into the final corner. Ramsey and Urbanic fight slightly further back. That's for 12th and 13th positions in a interesting liveried car, if we can leave it at that. It's that crucial run out of turn 4. Aidan Beerline a little bit swarmed on the race start. Don't worry about his willingness to get physical like I mentioned earlier. Plenty familiar with the dirt. Rafoss applying the pressure to the 21. Well, I say 21 on the car, but it's the 2 in the session. It can be somewhat confusing. I'll try and keep you updated on that one, of course. Still side by side. Rafoss now on the outside. And here comes the champ, Barry. He'll look up high. And what's he thinking about setting up here? I think ideally you want to win this race. And they'll go 3 wide for a moment as they fan out. If you win this race, you're on the inside on the start, which is the safest place to realistically be. Barry throws the lunge to the inside of his teammate, gets the second, and now the championship rivals battle. But Rafoss back to the inside, takes it 3 wide for a moment. My days, I'm going to finish this race with no voice, and then I get to go tomorrow morning for the IMSA Esports Michelin Global Championship once again. Barry will get past his teammate now for the time being, as the outside becomes the inside into turn 3. Big send from Beerline as Rafoss tried to cut back and get back underneath as the 1 and 2 fight side by side. Great view from Keaton Swain, who takes the camera for a ride. And just look at how they send the cars into the corner as well. Great drone shot, and Rafoss is back up to second. Jacob Rafoss, who took a win this season in the 14 races he ran, along with 3 podiums, did tend to struggle overall. Minus 18 in positions gained/lost over the course of the season. Compare that to Connor Barry, who was one of the biggest movers, 27 positions gained overall. Don't forget we had top 8 inverts to think about as well. Rafoss will slide and try and hit the front once more, and while Keaton Swain will do the up and under, we get set to hit the halfway mark here in Crandon. Don't forget, it is the first of 2 races. This is the heat to set the grid. For the feature, all 20 will advance, as Swain knocks the barrier down for a moment, sends the left front into the air, and now Barry will work to the inside and make it a Jim Beaver Esports Team General Tire 1 and 2. Here comes Beerline trying to roll the momentum as well, but Swain's got his eyes forward. We take our cameras to the Terminator as Tyson Miller sees the fight in front of him. It's Barry to second. Beerline now on the outside of Swain. Already seen a couple of times. You don't want to make that happen. But Swain has gone from first to fourth in half a lap's time. How quickly momentum will shift. Let's check in slightly further back as some beaten and battered cars continue to do battle. We saw that you could lose the majority of your front clip in these Pro 4 trucks over the course of the summer. The more you make contact, the more time you will lose. Now we ride with Josh Clogg in the number 6. Look at the suspension travel as well, and just enjoy the sound of 900 horsepower here at Crandon. Lovely engine sounds and great respectful racing, despite the fact that you can have contact and make it sick. There goes Tyson Miller looking to the inside. I don't think he's got the opportunity for it to really translate into forward momentum. Beerline back to the inside as Keaton Swain almost gets T-boned into turn number 4. Now Beerline will drop to the back of the pack. Nervy moments and a bit of leeway for the teammates out front to try and break away as we near 1.5 laps to run. I got a message from Joshua Lee that he's watching on. Just a reminder, Josh, this is what you're missing right now. Side by side with Beerline and Josh Clogg trying to work around the outside. And he gets it done. Beerline looking backwards as well now. Still the top 8 only split by 3.4 seconds. We make it 10 laps for the feature. And as they finish, they'll grid up once more, 10 wide, 2 rows deep. We start the final lap of the race. Refoss from Barry, Swain, Miller and Clogg. Love the stealth black now on the V-Apex Team General Tire Jim Beaver Esports car. Connor Barry's sporting the familiar paints that he took to the World Championship. Thought there may have been a mistake. Refoss holds on as Crystal King is up and over. That is not for the first time here on RaceSpotTV, unfortunately. As we track back the fight at the front. There was plenty of action through the course of this 6-lap affair. We didn't even have the time to really look at some replays, but will there be contact through the final corner? Remember how the summer started. Keaton Swain and Connor Barry, round 2 of the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Through the final corner, it was Keaton Swain that saw Barry get the elbows out to take the victory. This, though, is not for the victory. This is for bragging rights. As Aidan Beerline back past Josh Clogg further back. But will Barry be able to try something? Will Refoss hold on? Bit of bumper cars there, but Refoss will grab the victory in the heat in front of his teammate Connor Barry, with Keaton Swain, Tyson Miller and Aidan Beerline getting the top 5. Then Grady, Miller, Mayer and Boucher. As some 3 wide fighting through into Calamity Corner as Dashalet almost goes up and over in the 23 car. The 14 and the 17 side by side at the line, and once again Crandon does not disappoint. Oh my days, that was just 6 laps. We'll queue them up for the land rush start again and we'll send them out for some chaos. Reminder, we get 3 minutes between race 1 and race number 2, so a couple of moments here for drivers to grab a breath, maybe a drink of water, and to grid up and go again. Quick look at your race results. Team General Tire 1 and 2, Factory Sim Sport rather 3 and 4, and then a couple of non-championship series drivers before Legion Speed Sports are 7th and 8th. Remember, the top 10 will line up on the front row. It is behind them that we find those that will line up on the second row. All cars were able to finish this race. Fastest lap did go to Keaton Swain on lap number 5. So remember, we throw 5 minutes onto the board and we'll go again. Apologies for some of the brief technical issues that we experienced during that first race of the evening. We will get those resolved just in time for the second 10-lap shootout here tonight. Here's a look at the iRacing special event schedule once more, because it is a journey. It starts, of course, on the high banks of Daytona. The first iRacing special event of the year, the iRacing 24 Hours of Daytona, saw 16,000 drivers over the course of the weekend earlier this year. But we do oval, we do dirt, we do super late models with the Winter Derby, and of course we'll break out the dirt midgets on December 18th to bring these special events to the close. Maybe my favorite part of the special events, as much as I do love myself a bit of dirt racing though, is the VCO Grand Slams, where for 4 rounds of the year we have the opportunity to partner up with a great team at Radio Show Limited, Voices of Endurance Racing, and to bring them to your ears in uninterrupted coverage. And they will be back with us on, I believe it's November 12th, for the Suzuka 10 Hours, the 4th and final of the VCO Grand Slams. We also have physical prizes to be handed out for those races for class winners in top split. So there very much is stuff to talk about. If you are just joining us and you're wondering where we're racing and what this is all about, well, it's 900 horsepower jumpy trucks at Crandon. Here's a look at the track map. You don't get the sense of elevation, you don't get the sense of scale at Crandon either, which is at 1.5 miles tied with Bark River as the longest track on the iRacing service for short course racing. Calamity Corner is turn 8, the final corner, aptly named, but it's not where we start the race. Instead, we start just a beam of turn number 4. We funnel down 10 wide into turn 5 to get our racing underway. It is always exciting. It is always entertaining. And I tell you what, if you missed the first round of the evening, well, don't you worry, we're only 35 seconds away from going racing once more. So Jacob Rafos and Connor Barry, Team General Tire 1 and 2. What is it going to mean, though, when it comes to what we've got in store in just a few moments' time? Will the teammates be able to work together down low to try and bully their way 1 and 2 on lap number 1? Or will Keaton Swain and his teammates be able to take the fight forward? We are ready to go once more for the 2022 iRacing Crandon Pro 4 Championship, the second annual trip to the big house as we celebrate dirt road racing and we celebrate these off-road trucks. The warm-up session will come to an end. The drivers will once again funnel 10 wide and get ready to go racing. So let's dial you down through the starting grid for the final time tonight. It will be Jacob Rafos and Connor Barry 1 and 2, but it is Keaton Swain and Tyson Miller that will very much be in the danger zone, but looking to try and pile the pressure on. Beerline and clogging pressed in the first 6-lap heat. What can they do on row number 1, along with Tom Grady, Terry Miller for Legion Speed Sports, Ron Mayer and Nathan Ramsey, the rest of row 1. Then on the inside of row 2, behind your leaders, Jerry Boucher and Nicholas Dachelet, 11th and 12th. Kyle Urbanik and Dougie Higgins, 13th and 14th, but I think we may already be ready to go racing, so we will ignore the rest of the grid. We will enjoy the sound of the engines and we will get ready to send them 10 wide once more at Crandon. It's Jacob Rafos and Connor Barry that lead us on the very inside. This time no cars, flipping up and over, and into turn 5 they funnel 3 wide further back, but single file for the top 2. Exactly what the teammates would have wanted to see. They control the tempo of this race. A car going up and over. Dachelet, I think, escorted beyond the limits of the track. Other than that, though, 19 cars continue their run in towards turn number 6. They check up, they funnel. Lots of momentum being killed here. Still Rafos from Barry and Swain, the front 3. Familiar names at the front. Behind them, Josh Clogg with a monster of a start. Terry Miller runs in 8th. It was Tyson Miller, the one that has very much lost out on the start. So we start the first of 10 official laps here. Josh Clogg on the back of Keaton Swain and Connor Barry, the 2 championship rivals from the summer of the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. So Dachelet, the main victim so far, although that is Terry Miller now who has to spin himself around. And on the back straightaway, a car up and over, it's Tommy King. 3 3 victims so far. We still haven't finished lap number 1. They jump through turn 6. It's Swain still trying to pile the pressure on. My days, what a chaotic and crazy start, and what a contrast to how heat number 1 started earlier tonight. Teammates with a little bit of contact as they work out of turn 7. But single file, no major juking at this time. It's Jason Bauer and Nathan Ramsey that fight for what is now 10th and 11th positions. Ramsey grabs the stranglehold of the spot in the top 10. Both cars missing right front clips on their machines. Behind them, Terry Miller trying to work his way back forward. He gets past Leroy Mercer in the 20 car. iRating wise, Mercer is the lowest of those in the field, but he didn't qualify on iRating. Remember, these super sessions are qualified based on the points accumulated through the course of the week. A handful of these drivers that ran just the single race from Monday night through Thursday night, I think it was. However, there were a few that ran just one. Berline and Mayer, a little bit of contacts as they work out of 4. And Berline, who really showed a turn of speed in the first 6 laps of the night, starts to see a gap build to those in front. He's another one missing some of the bodywork on the front of his car. Jump on board with your race leader, and the look of focus on the young Jacob Rafos, the youngest ever winner in iRacing World Championship history, at least that I know of. I have not been corrected by the wonderful team at iRacing. Ran, of course, in the IRX Rallycross World Championship presented by Yokohama in 2021. Think still had some mental maturity to develop. And coming into this summer, I was really impressed by the gains that he had made. Speaks to the level that Jim Beaver Esports and Team General Tire have managed to build to as well. 8 of the 24 drivers representing that one team in the summer of action. It's the trio at the front with the World Championship licenses that break away though. Clog now 1.3 back. Terry Miller, contact with Kyle Urbanik, who brings the car back into submission and now will continue to try and fight. They run as Jerry Boucher and Crystal King, who both started on the 2nd row of the grid, and now fight for 5th and 6th positions. Behind them, it's Keith Horner Jr., another of the drivers who has taken full advantage of chaos on the start as we jump on board with the number 12. Fantastic opportunistic move to get to the inside of Boucher, but the fight's not done just yet, as now Berline makes some contacts as well in his number 10. More contact, but should we be shocked? Maybe not. So this, of course, the fight for 5th on back. It is left Josh Clog in some no man's land. Horner and Beerline get sandwiched with one another, and now doing a nose grind. Beerline will lose out. Ryan Mayer will take advantage as Horner Jr. still tries to get that car back into control. My days, another incident to add to the highlight reel, as now Mayer tries to throw a move to the inside that maybe was never truly on. Up at the front, a little bit of contact again between the teammates, but in this form of racing, it is very much the case that Robin is racing. Let's see if we can pick up some of these incidents on the start, and you see Terry Miller is the one that escorts Nicholas Dachelet out wide, and Dachelet instantly required to take the tow to pit lane. Let's see if we can pick up any more of the action. That's Dougie Higgins Jr., I believe. That's gone around for a moment, but that was just before we officially even started lap number 1. This still now a fight for the lead, but a 2-car fight for the lead. Keaton Swain has been dropped, and it's Connor Barry that tries to put the pressure onto the young Jacob Rafos. A great view from the champ as you see just how close Rafos got to the wall on the inside of turn number 1. That's a level of confidence that I can only aspire to in cars that sometimes labor as much as these, but look how smooth, look how calm they are behind the wheel. Looking forward to a chat with these drivers post-race as we get set to hit the halfway mark. that Barry tried to throw the slide? It is, and with some contact will get it done as well. No love lost for the time being, but the more they fight, potentially the more Swain will be brought back into the picture, but we will have to wait and see. Now it is official. Barry leads as he clears himself. Rafos again with the up and under, and now has the inside into turn number 7. But the overspeed from Slicky able to let him hold the lead for now. As Dashalet and Tyson Miller seem to have swapped around. Not sure exactly what's happened, but Tyson Miller, one of the 2 Millers in the field, and both have struggled. Terry Miller back on pit lane and seemingly retiring from the race. We hit the halfway mark. There are 5 laps to play. Run down to the top 5. It's Barry, Rafos, Swain, Cloggin, King. Barry with 2 wins in the 2022 iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. Jacob Rafos with just the 1. We had a lot of fun last year when we came here to do this, and Rafos pirouetting before they even got to the apex of the corner. The level of commitment on another level, but here comes Swain now within 1 second of the race leader. They run themselves into turn 6. Up and in the air, through the left, and there's a send from Rafos. Barry holds the car, controls it. But bit by bit, it gets closer and closer. Now Rafos with the slide job, and Rafos will retake the lead momentarily as they work to Calamity Corner side by side in the air. Don't look now. Here's Keaton Swain to join the fun. There are 4 laps to go, and it's a 3-car fight once more. But it's Rafos that retakes the lead as the champ holds second. Barry very wide out of turn 2. Doesn't compromise him too much into 3. Just watch that moving forward. Yeah, I feel bad for my voice now. 3 and a bit hours tomorrow of the IMSA Esports Michelin Global Championship, and as much as I love my jumpy trucks, that is also some crazy racing. Plenty of shouting was to be had last Sunday from the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Join us from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca for the green flag at 12 p.m. Eastern. The VCO pre-show starts just before 11:45. What a fun fight. Josh Edmondson chimes in the YouTube chat. Josh, we're disappointed you're not here. We're disappointed Cam's not here. We could have stacked this field with the who's who of the iRacing Off-Road Championship Series. It's giving the chance, though, to the likes of Jeremy Boucher and Ryan Mayer to fight for what is 7th position. Keith Horton Jr. has cleared up the road for 6th position. It's Josh Clogg that runs as the best of the non-championship series drivers, as Boucher in the 14 will hold for the time being. Oh! My days, Dougie Higgins Jr. pirouettes up and over, but lands on all 4s. Straight to the RaceSpotTV replay we will go, and it was a no, it was not. It was definitely not self-inflicted. I lose track of how many counts as Jacob Rafos goes up and over. Oh my days! You could not script it. And now, it's 1 and 2. The champion and the runner-up at the front of the field with 2 laps to go. My days, what happened there for Jacob Rafos to lose out in the cruelest of ways? As Connor Barry will take a trip to pit lane. Incident limit, I believe, for Connor Barry. So J-Bob went up and over thanks to the send from Connor Barry. Not sure exactly what's gone on. Jacob Rafos will scramble to hold to 4th. Beerline shoves Mayer out of the way. absolute scenes at the big house as the champ drops out of the top 15. Still a great fight for what is now 6th on back, as Ron Mayer will grab the final spot here in the queue. Little bit of a slide thrown by Tom Grady on Boucher, as it will see Grady hold the outside, and a bit of a squirm there, a squirrel from Boucher up and over the hops. 14 versus the 11, but the teal machine just about has enough, and now grabs the spot into turn 6 as Boucher, all sorts of crossed up, finds himself spun around and in the wall. But rounding Calamity Corner with 1.5 miles to go, it is Keaton Swain that runs himself to the line to take the white flag in front of Josh Clogg and Crystal King. Another dramatic, jumpy truck race. Joshua Lee, if you're still watching, a reminder, you could have been here. Instead, you left me all alone. We watch as Beerline continues his fight with Grady as they work towards turn 3 rather, excuse me. Send from Beerline, elbows out, but wisdom from Grady to know we can get the ramp off out of the corner. They'll fight now into this crucial turn 4. Beerline just parks it and then tries to cut back and get on the power. They send 900 horsepower down in towards turn number 5. Beerline once more on the outside. How does Grady play it? Slides his way through comfortably, to say the very least. The scoring shows that Swain's coming to the line, but he still has Calamity Corner to navigate. It wasn't Calamity, though, for the driver that finished 2nd in the championship. For the Factory Sim Sport number 2, the chaos was in front, and Keaton Swain emerges through it like Moses to grab the victory in the 2nd annual iRacing Crandon Pro 4 Championship special event. An incredible run for Swain to be able to hold to the line. A fight to the end sees Tom Grady finish in 6th. Give the plaudits as well to Josh Clogg, the best of the non-championship series drivers, able to grab 2nd in front of Crystal King, while Jacob Rafoss will end up settling for 4th position. They fight to the line, and they fight so physically that one car is going to roll their way over the line. That is Jason Bauer in the number 19 machine, who has officially finished the race, I can confirm. Tim Hendry not so fortunate. He crashed in Calamity Corner and finds himself retired from the race. My word, my poor voice. My poor voice. Hopefully, we get the chance to chat to the drivers in a couple of moments' time, if they'll jump into our RaceSpot commentary booth for a quick post-race discussion. But here are your post-race results for the 2022 iRacing Crandon Pro 4 Championship. It is the uber-consistent Keaton Swain that continues to be consistent, and this time at the front, as the Factory Sim Sport number 2 crosses the line in front. Josh Clogg 2nd, with Crystal King in 3rd for Factory Sim Sport. Team General Tire, well, self-imploded in some ways, with Rafoss the best of them in 4th, Horner Jr. in 5th, with Grady 6th, Beerline, Mayer, Boucher, Ramsey complete the top 10. 32 seconds splitting them. Urbanic, Bauer, Dashalet, then 11th through 13th as they fought their way to the line. Leroy Mercer 14th in front of Dougie Higgins, who after pirouetting and rolling more times than I care to count, finishes this one in 15th. In front of Tim Hendry, who is classified in 16th at the end of the day. In front, though, of Tyson Miller and Tommy King, Connor Barry, and Terry Miller. We'll give a couple of moments for the drivers to join us before we say goodbye. We remind you of what is up next here. The NASCAR iRacing Series full-length finale in the desert. It is the trip to Phoenix that will Be very interesting when the new start zones that, of course, iRacing has introduced alongside the real-world reconfiguration of this track. Of course, 2021 saw plenty of contact and action when it came to the drivers. In the real world, I have no doubt that the virtual world will deliver some excitement as well. Do stay tuned on social media for exactly when we go racing. We're likely to hopefully have the voice of NASCAR, Evan Pasoko, back on the RaceSpotTV airwaves for that one, to be joined alongside our expert team. And of course, that is not the final of the iRacing special events. We wrap up the doubleheader weekend, the SCCA runoffs, a mammoth broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network, preceded tonight's evening of dirt action with the jumpy trucks. Of course, then Suzuka, the Winter Derby, and the Chili Bowl still yet to come. I will be hoping at the very least to be on commentary for the Chili Bowl, because I know I will be unfortunately having to miss the action at the Suzuka 10 hours. Would have loved to be a part of that one along with the team at Radio Show Limited. I've been trying to pass as much time as possible to see if we would get any post-race chats, but unfortunately it does not look to be the case. Delighted to have jumpy trucks back in my life, albeit temporarily. Hopefully it is not too long before we go racing once again on RaceSpotTV with these Pro 4 behemoths that shove out 900 horsepower. A dramatic affair once more here at Crandon. Not a champion crowned, but we crown our second iRacing Crandon champion here at the Big House. Don't forget, plenty more action to come on the iRacing Esports Network and on RaceSpotTV, so do make sure to follow along on social media for iRacing, and don't forget to join myself, Lewis McLeod, and Ewan O'Leary for what is bound to be a hectic round 2 of the IMSA Esports Michelin Global Championship, live from the WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. That wraps it up though at the Big House, and what a return it was. We did 10 wide and we threw them in once more for Land Rush Chaos, and the drivers did not disappoint. It is Keaton Swain that walks away on top after Connor Barry and Jacob Raffos came to blows. We'll see you next time on RaceSpotTV. Thank you so much for your company. We'll see you next time. For now, goodbye. So long.